This is TeamSport Stoke, a karting track in Stoke-on-Trent that once upon a time I slandered into ashes after a particularly miserable practice session here a few months ago. When I first drove here, I barely had a positive word to say about the place, spouting criticism after criticism through a forced smile. But admittedly, back at that point, I didn't have the faintest idea how to race properly. Even less so than now. I swore to myself I'd never come back here again, but you know how it is. Money's tight, TeamSport tracks usually have some good deals on, and myself, Ryan, and Josh are itching for a drive, so here we are. Welcome to Perico Karting, and today I'm making a very awkward return to a track I once hated. Now, I should clarify, much like the last session I went on, this is only a practice session, but there will be plenty of racing action out there on the track. I made several complaints about TeamSport Stoke in the last video, most of them solid, a few that were just factually incorrect. My primary complaints last time, however, were how slow the karts were to drive and how poor the track surface is in terms of grip. I made these complaints while about 5 square miles off the racing line. So this time, with some experience on my side, let's give TeamSport Stoke another chance. Ryan, he recognized me. He's watched one of the members grassed on me, he's seen all my videos. Oh, no, there it goes. A fantastic start for Ryan, who's already got a broken kart the moment he leaves the pits. I guess that's karma for him laughing at me when I told him the marshal saw my video. But let's just cut ahead straight to the action. A couple of red flags and some yellow flags have happened, but that's just customary to start off a team sport race. But now, everything is underway. Josh, the cockroach, immediately finds the gap down the inside and just slips past that guy who was holding me up. I try and do the same thing, but I don't have the facilities for that. I'm not Josh. We all come barreling straight past the pit lane, and this guy with the green shoulders up ahead, Josh tries to go down the inside, but because I get a wider entry into this corner, I manage to get the inside and overtake him.
Hey, I'm finally overtaking you on a track!
That is the first time I've ever overtaken Josh in anything, really, because he's normally just slipping through everything and absolutely shooting ahead, so I'm absolutely chuffed about that one. Regrettably, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a one-and-done job, because this guy on the inside forces me wide, and Josh the cockroach immediately finds his way through. So now I need to try and find my way past him. He's being held up here by 2 people in pink jumpsuits who I will affectionately call Team Racing Point. One of them brake checks him, so I accidentally bumped the back of Josh. And remember, this is the same track that black flagged both me and Josh for a complete and utter accidental bump on the down ramp last time we were here. So little moves like that are going to put me on edge. I'm on Josh's inside here as I approach the corner just before the down ramp. I accidentally send him a bit wider than I probably should have, but that means I'm able to close off the inside and make sure he can't get past me. Unfortunately, I end up brake checking him and he ends up crashing into the back of me. Funnily enough, that's exactly the same incident that got us both black flagged the first time, except I wasn't the one who stopped on the apex, so that's just a funny one, to be honest. I take this opportunity to throw it down the inside of Sergio Perez. I'm calling him that because he's got the pink racing suit on and he has the number 11. I get past him, and now the track is mine, nice and clear. So let's see if my racing lines have improved any, shall we? Now, last time I made a mistake. That's actually the start-finish line there, but I said it was next to the pit lane. I go wide entry into this double apex, but manage to hit the second apex on my exit. I'm getting nice and close to the corners as I'm going along, and then I get a wider entry into this corner than I was doing before I came here. And I keep hitting every apex as close as I can. Not perfectly, but I'm doing the best I can. Now, the way I'm taking this corner is actually wrong. It looks correct, but I'm actually not setting myself up well enough for this corner here because I'm actually setting myself up to go wide. This part of the track is pretty straightforward. You just drive, and then it's across the finish line. So my lines are cleaner, except I'm still making a couple mistakes in a few places. Now, we've caught up to the back of our first back marker here. We're going to call him Johnny Green Shoulders. He goes wide into this corner like he's supposed to because that's where the grip tape is. I try and find the inside on both of these exits here. He gives me a little nudge for whatever reason. I think he was just trying to regain his traction, but because I've got the inside coming into this big double apex here, I managed to shut him out. That won't be the last we see of that guy, and trust me, he makes some Pretty interesting decisions as the session goes on, I'll be honest. Now I'm catching up to a bit of a pack here, and I get a terrible entry into this corner, and Josh the Cockroach absolutely capitalizes on that, has the inside line coming into this big sweeping right corner, but now that means that he's in front of me and he has to deal with all this with me. Someone brakes incredibly sharply, causing a bit of a pile-up on the exit of the first corner of the circuit, which almost awards me the inside line on Josh, but I look for a gap that isn't there, almost accidentally spin him out, and then I decide to throw it straight down the inside.
Dive bomb!
Now, from a marshal's point of view... watching someone shout dive bomb and immediately crash into the side of someone's cart would be a decent enough excuse to flag them, but fortunately that didn't happen today. That was a silly move, but that did make me laugh. Now I'm on the racing line here, taking this corner wider. This guy on the inside tries to turn sharp, ends up coming to a complete stop, and I end up shunting the side of him. That, again, was similar to the incident that got me black flagged last time, so I'm starting to get a little bit nervous because, quite frankly, I'm having a lot of fun, but things have been going a bit too well. Josh just crept through there. There wasn't even any contest. He just absolutely slithered through, but we've got a red flag, and Ryan's joined us.
We got caught up in a bit of a skirmish, if you will. I can tell.
After that red flag restart, that's put Josh directly in front of me once again. He goes wide in this corner, which I think awards me the inside line, which quickly becomes the outside line. So I switch back for the inside line again, and Josh does not notice I'm there.
All the time you have to leave a space. All the time.
I get into a bit of a melee with him while screaming Fernando Alonso quotes. I get ahead of him at this corner here, but I'm being held up by Racing Point and this individual on the left. At this point, I'm doing my best damsel in distress impression as Team Racing Point gets into a bit of a scrap ahead of me, but that's the checkered flag to conclude the first session, which was a lot of fun. I actually got into several battles with Josh, someone I don't really battle with in these videos because he just keeps thundering ahead. So now it's time to make our way back to the pits, while Team Racing Point appear to continue battling ahead of me even under the yellows, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes Johnny Greenshoulders, who tries to dive bomb his way into the pit lane.
That was a mess. That was a mess.
Alright, so far, my biggest complaint with TeamSport Stoke still stands, and that's that these karts are woefully slow. These karts in 3-speed make Warrington's karts look like Bugattis, and every move and every battle felt like it was taking place in slow motion. However, as far as the track surface goes, I've actually come to warm up to it a little bit. It definitely makes for a more technical, interesting experience for sure, and with grip tape throughout the track on the racing line, it wasn't a complete ice rink if you knew what you were doing, which the first time around, I did not. But so far, I've actually been having fun, so let's see if that carries on in the next session. So here we are in the second session, and Johnny Greenshoulders here, under the yellows, is about to make a very interesting move.
What are you doing?
He tries to overtake on the inside during the yellow flags and almost gets himself stuck on the barriers before the session even starts. So that's how well this is going to go. Coming to the down ramp here, he gets an incredibly impressive double overtake down the inside of the down ramp, which would have been absolutely fantastic if we weren't still on the yellows. And now Team Racing Point's having a bit of a skirmish because the lights have gone green, so let's see how this one goes with this camaraderie on the track. Here I am on the tail of Sergio Perez a little later into this lap, and I try and get the inside move done in the first corner, but he has the inside into the next double apex, which means I can't really make the move stick right here. He brakes sharply right here so he can get a nice tight entry into that corner, but then he goes straight for the inside on the down ramp, goes completely deep and opens the door for me. I kept doing that the first time I came here, so it's nice to learn from my mistakes. Now, something pretty interesting happens here. One of these two gets black flagged, and I've watched this footage over and over again, and I cannot for the life of me fathom which one it's supposed to be. 16 slows down right in front of me, so I accidentally bumped them. I'm still trying to figure out which one of them actually got flagged. But interestingly enough, as we approach the pit lane, Johnny Greenshoulders here gestures for the guy in front of me to go into the pits instead. So as far as I'm aware, that's the correct choice, but since he drops it in this corner here because he's spending more time looking at me rather than the track ahead of him, maybe it was him. Nobody knows. Now, you might notice a suspicious absence of both Ryan and Josh here, and that's not because I'm absolutely dusting them. Unfortunately, I wish that was the case. What those two have done, in a big brain move, is see all the skirmish going ahead at the very start of the session and then decide, nah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to drop back, because otherwise, those guys are going to sabotage our lap times. And guess who didn't have that idea? Me. So I did not manage to set a very good lap time, because as soon as I catch up to the back markers again, it's going to be a bit of a skirmish that absolutely impedes me. I've been driving along nice and unhindered for the time being, and I have an absolutely stonking lap ruined by a red flag. I'm a bit frustrated by that, and I can hear a marshal shouting upstairs.
Some shouting going on.
The majority of what was said in that shouting match appears to be, make sure you're giving each other enough space, so I'm not sure what's going on half a track ahead, but it must be pretty goddamn exciting if a marshal's red flagged the session just to shout at two people. Remember how last time I came here I said that this place has more red and yellow flags than since the last time Ferrari won a World Constructors' Championship? Well, there was a very big reason I said that. I've had another lap interrupted by a red flag.
Please, man.
It is starting to get really frustrating. This one's been caused by this guy ahead of me somehow losing control and parking himself directly on the apex of the up-ramp corner. I mean, it can happen. It's really slippery on this part of the track, so I don't exactly blame him. Jumping ahead a little bit, we've caught up to the back of one hell of a pack here that seems to just be bumping into each other left, right, and centre, responding to each other's mistakes. It's starting to hold me up as well. I try and get it done around the outside and get accidentally squeezed out. I need to learn to stop trying to overtake back markers on the outside. I had a comment about that on the Coventry video. I get ready to set up my corner entry here, and Johnny Greenshoulders goes deep. Kart 16 goes slow, which means there's a bit of contact there. Johnny Greenshoulders ahead of me keeps looking behind him over and over again, so at least he knows that I'm there, but that probably means that he wants to race. So I'm going to have to try and find a move on this guy as quickly as I can. And this one actually gets pretty interesting. I have the outside line here, so I set up for a switchback, which I actually find the inside line going into the sweeping double apex. But because he holds the central line really well, actually, he managed to hold the entire line till it becomes his inside. So I try for another switchback that's a little bit messy, to be honest, but then I have the inside line coming into this corner, and then he just decides to completely squeeze me out, and then he just stamps on the brakes and lets me through anyway. But he actually set up a fantastic switchback and almost got a textbook dive bomb on me. Unfortunately, he did mess it up, but I do have to respect that move, to be honest. But who have we caught up to here? Why, that's Sergio Perez of Racing Point. Let's see why he's... Oh, no, there he goes. He's gone. Bye, Sergio. Oh, no, he's still there. He's on my outside, but I managed to hold the inside line coming into this big sweeping corner, which means that I've taken the position from him. Would you believe me if I told you there was another red flag? Because there's another red flag. I have no idea what caused this one, or how there are so many red flags on a session with 7 karts in it, much less a practice session on some random weekday, but here we are. I start doing some ADHD hand pats, and then it's back off into the action. At least I would have liked to, but I made it halfway around the track before the yellows came back on one more time, and it's the checkered flag. So the session has come to a close, and I'm just going to pull into the pits and give you all my closing thoughts on this session at TeamSport Stoke. My first TeamSport Stoke video has over 17,000 views now as of the time of recording, and despite that video's success and it representing my first real step into being more engaging with my commentary, it's one of my least favourite videos. The sour tone of the video is scarcely hidden by me wanting positive vibes, and I really do feel like maybe I was a little unfair to this place. The black flag last time was a major contributing factor, something I've come to realise literally does not matter because it was a practice session. The track surface though is definitely unique and poses a challenge that not many other tracks do, and despite me essentially slandering their place of work to over 17,000 people, the marshals I spoke to were largely good-spirited about the whole deal. However, this place does still have its issues, the most prominent one being it's all just too slow. And the karts themselves seemed to get slower as the sessions went on. Not one of us got within a second of our best lap times from when we first came here, and that was after the marshal specifically told us where the racing line was and how to take some of the corners. Is this still, quote, my least favourite track in the United Kingdom? As it stands right now, yes, it is, but to be fair, I haven't raced on this track in the same format I've raced in any other track. Warrington, Coventry, Birmingham, Fastlane, Cannon Raceway, Midland Karting. All these other tracks I've been to and that I actually prefer, I've driven on in a race format, and I've only ever driven on TeamSport Stoke in a practice format. So in order to be completely impartial to the place, I need to do two things. One, I need to compete in a 50-lap race here to see how the track actually races instead of trying to overtake back markers. And two, I need to compete in a members race, because all that people say to me about this place is that it really comes alive when those slow karts get bumped up to 4 speed and you can really feel the wind through your visor, I think. If you can feel the wind on your face while you're karting, you've probably forgotten your helmet. Anyway, this has actually been pretty fun. I was definitely too harsh to this place. It's not the best track I've ever been to, and honestly, if you're going to drive across the country to go karting, I wouldn't go for a practice session here. I'd book yourself on for a proper race. I myself will definitely do that in the future, but in the meantime, next time I upload a video, it will be at TeamSport Leicester, because that's where me and the boys are going this weekend, for another 50-lap race on a pretty technical track, which apparently has the same sort of surface as TeamSport Stoke, albeit a little bit faster, so that should definitely be interesting. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time.